stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
City of Romulus regular meeting agenda for Monday, October 1st, 2018. We took roll earlier this evening at the special meeting and all council members are present. Number 1, agenda. Number 2, minutes. 3, petitioner. 4, chairpersons report. 5, the mayor's report. 6A is the clerk's report. 6B, treasurer's report. 7, public comment. 8, unfinished business. 9, new business. 10, communication, and 11 is adjournment.
So moved to accept the agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Talley, supported by Ms. Abdo, for approval of the agenda as presented. Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Williams, Mr. Wadsworth, Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, agenda accepted.
2A is approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting held September 24th, 2018.
So moved for September 24th, 2018.
Support.
Been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo, for approval of the minutes from our regular city council meeting, which was held September the 24th, 2018. Mr. Wadsworth. Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Talley.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
2B, approval of the minutes from the special meeting held on Monday, September 24th, 2018, an ordinance regarding basketball hoops and a public hearing regarding the 2018 restated and amended DDA plan.
So move for approval of the minutes from the special meeting held Monday, September 24th.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Talley. That's for approval of our minutes from our special meeting, which was held on Monday, September the 24th, 2018. Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
There are no petitioners this evening, so that takes us to the chairperson's report.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk. Tonight, we had a study session at 7 p.m. Discussing our city purchasing ordinance. At this time, the chair is going to recognize Reverend Willis.
Thank you so much, Council Barton, Mayor Pro Tem, thank you so much. To our mayor, to all our other council personnel, we're so grateful to be here, and to our clerk and to our deputy treasurer and our deputy clerk and our clerk and our absent and treasurer. I come tonight not wearing the hat of a clergy. Most of you know that I pastor a church in the city. I'm also the president of Ministry Alliance. But I come tonight as the president of the Romulus Drug Task Force. The Romulus Drug Task Force is an entity that's been in existence now probably to 3 mayors that I know of that I've been here. And it was called the Mayor Drug Task Force, and in a few years we changed the name to the Romulus Drug Task Force. And I chair that committee. And on that committee we have community leaders, we have civic leaders, we have a law enforcement officer, we have judges, we have council people on that committee, we have school, we have churches, and also the mayor is always on that committee because he is the mayor of the city. I come tonight because I sent a letter to each of you about a few months back asking you to opt out of the new marijuana dispensary that's trying to come into this city and trying to come into the cities all around our state. And I'm hoping that you would, I don't know when this vote coming up, whenever you're gonna vote on that thing, but I'm hoping that you would not look at a 3% revenue or whatever you're getting from it, but you look at what it would do to our community. I know people are saying that, well, it's medical marijuana and it's gonna help people that are really sick. Well, the pain pills are supposed to help people too that are really sick. And look what the pain pills are doing. It's an epidemic. We got children. Just did a Google just a few minutes ago when I came here. This year alone, per day, 115 people per day are dying of an opioid over Vicodin, pain medication that's been prescribed by doctors. So if you allow this stuff to come into our city, Belleville just opt out, Van Buren opt out. I don't know why we want to keep it in our city. I'm not saying it's not good for not for people that need medicine. I'm not saying that at all. I just don't think there's been enough study to show that marijuana is going to help people that are sick. I think there may be some ingredients in that it may help people. But if that's the case, they should be able to get it at CVS or Rite Aid or Walgreens and not have a dispensary come in here. And then now we're going to have to patrol it. You may make 3%, but you're going to spend a lot more money trying to patrol it, trying to keep people out of it. And as the chair of the drug task force, we've spent lots of money trying to get the drugs out of the homes of the people that don't use their pain medication. And we get them to bring it to the police department. We were very instrumental in getting that dispensary there at the police department so they can bring and drop off their mail there, their old drugs there so the kids don't get it. So now we're gonna say, okay, let's bring in this new marijuana stuff, and that is pain medication, so medical marijuana. It might be, but the effect of it, it's gonna be long drawn. We haven't did enough study yet to find out what effect it has on it. So I'm hoping that you will be like Belleville and like Van Buren and like some of the other townships around and not let it come to Romulus. It's just gonna bring problem. It's gonna be more stuff that the drug task we gotta deal with. We got enough problem with dealing with Vicodins and all the other stuff. Now we gotta deal with medical marijuana, and anybody can get a card, anybody. All you gotta do is just hurt your finger. Go to the doctor, tell your doctor you need a pain, your fingers hurt, and you can get a prescription. It's just that simple. Really not. And you can even get them anywhere. There's a doctor who writes you a script for anything. I'm not saying doctors are bad at all. I'm just saying the pain. Great example is that if you just Google when you get a chance, it's a 13-year-old girl playing soccer, and she hurt her knee. Her mother took her to the doctor. Of course, they made her pain pill, Vicodin. So she got on these Vicodin, and then the pain came back. She got on more Vicodin. Pain came back. She became addicted to it. So what she would do, she would cut her own self so that she can go back to the doctor to get more pain medication. What do you think it's going to do for our kids with this medical marijuana? They're going to get it. Anything go. Backache, stomach ache. I was playing basketball, hurt myself. I need that to soothe myself, and now we got to deal with all of that. I'm hoping that you guys and ladies would do the right thing. If they want to get it, make them go someplace else for it. Let them go any place else. But I think Romulus should opt out like everybody else did, and I'm hoping that you guys ladies will do the right thing and opt out this new marijuana dispensary and growth thing that's trying to sweep our city, sweep our country. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Pastor Willis. That concludes the Chairpersons Report.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept your report.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Talley, to accept the Chairpersons Report. Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved. Thank you.
When I read the agenda this evening, I got a little ahead of myself. I was supposed to delete 6A4 from the agenda. And would it be all right with council if we go ahead to amend that to the agenda to delete 6A4?
Okay. So move.
Support.
Go ahead. So is a motion by, was that Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
And supported by
I did.
Ms. Roscoe to delete 6A4. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
Thank you, council. And 5 is the mayor's report.
Good evening, City Council, our treasurer, deputy clerk, and audience. Quote I brought tonight comes from a lady named Betsy Hodges, goes as this: true public safety requires a collaboration between law enforcement and the community, because those two go hand in hand. I picked that quote because I wanted to give a shout out. We had our first Public Safety Foundation last week. This is a separate from the city, a 501c3 creative idea to raise money that can buy equipment that can then be donated to the city for police and fire equipment. Went well. We had it at Historical Park. I want to give a big shout out. Kevin Kraus kind of took the lead on this whole thing, and there's so many people that got involved and stepped up. We were pleased that we had some of the board members that were there. Steve is one of them, but we had some of the businesses that were involved that really came forward, like DTE, Marathon. We've got people on the board from Public Service Credit Union. It was showing some of the airport equipment, which was one of our partners. They brought some big equipment. We had some of our equipment there. But it was a good time, and basically we're trying to raise awareness for the need for this equipment that's, our men and women that are out there on the front line, they deserve to have good equipment. And this is all can be donated by an individual or a company. They get a tax write-off. It goes to the foundation. The foundation board then can deem that that equipment goes to the city. So that was our first event, went very well. We're going to try to do at least one big event a year. But I just wanted to give a shout out. If you were there, I know we had electeds there, we had police, fire, and safety there. We had, all kinds of representatives from companies there. The purpose was to kind of kick off the foundation and also encourage people, if there are future board members that we can pull in, because we still have a couple trustee spots that we're looking to fill. So thanks everybody who was involved in that. We also have a quick video clip for some events. If we could roll that, please, for some of the upcoming city.
Good evening. Here are some events coming up. The library is continuing their toddler story time on Wednesdays until December the 5th at 10:30 a.m. On Wednesday, October the 3rd, there will be a town hall meeting at Wick School to discuss the police fire safety millage. Town hall meetings will also be held on Thursday the 11th at the RAC and Wednesday the 24th at Romel. On Thursday, October the 4th, Friends of the Senior Center will hold another fundraiser night beginning at 5 p.m. For more information on this event, call the center at 734-955-4120. The VFW will hold a spaghetti dinner fundraiser Friday night beginning at 5 p.m. On Sunday, October the 7th, the fire department will hold their annual open house. The event will take place at the department's headquarters on Eureka, east of Middlebelt, beginning at 11 a.m. Fire Prevention Week is October 7th through the 13th. The annual Fall Fest will be held Friday the 12th at the Historical Park. Again this year, there will be hay rides and scarecrow judging. The annual Blue Sky Trunk or Treat will be held Saturday the 13th from 4 until 9 p.m. To find out more about all of our community events, go to the locations noted on your screen. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Thanks, Roger. A lot going on. Now for some action items under my report. First up, we have is item A. This is a request that came as a recommendation of Josh Monte, Police Captain, and Legal Counsel, and it's to concur with the administration and grant authorization for the mayor and clerk to extend the attached DSS Corporation bid or maintenance agreement for 1 year. The term is to end September 20th, 2019. Cost is $2,720. These funds have been verified and available out of the 911 Service Fund Maintenance Contract account.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, for the DSS Corporation Maintenance Agreement Extension.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo, for the DSS Corporation Maintenance Agreement. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, Council. Next item is item B. This is also a recommendation from Josh Monte, Police Captain, and Legal Counsel, and it's to concur the administration and grant authorization for the mayor and clerk to enter into the attached addendum contained within for the previously authorized agreement with the Western Wayne County Special Operations Team. This addendum establishes minimum criteria for the consortium agencies.
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
I'd
Ms. Talley.
like to make that motion occur with administration and grant authorization for the mayor and clerk to enter into the attached addendum to be contained within the previously authorized agreement with the Western Wayne County Special Operations Team.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Talley, supported by Ms. Roscoe. This was for the Western Wayne County Special Operation Team membership addendum. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, Council. Next item C is a recommendation from Tanya Cofield, a Recreation Coordinator, and legal counsel, and it's to concur with the administration, authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into the attached agreement with Romulus Athletic Club to allow the use of Elmer Johnson Park for the purpose of football practice, football games to the end of the season, and cleanup up through October 2nd, 2018 through November 10th of 2018.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that a motion for the agreement and license for Romulus Athletic Club, for the Romulus Flyers, for the use of Elmer Johnson's Park from October 2nd through November 10th, 2018.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Talley, and this is for the agreement and license for Romulus Athletic Club for the Romulus Flyers. Any discussion? Yes, Ms. Williams.
Yes, I'm just wondering why the subject state agreement and license for Romulus Athletic Club, if you're using the Romulus, the Elmer Johnson Park.
That's who's using it. That's the name of the organization.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, and motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next is item D, and what you have is a recommendation from Robert McCray, our Public Service Director, Lynn Conway, Purchasing Director, and a project manager from George Auk. This is a request to concur with administration, approve the increase in the current contract, addendum 3 bid, package 3, amount with George W. Auk Company for the project, an additional $11,564,894 for the subcontract trade work and testing allowances, reimbursable general contract, and any contingencies for unseen conditions, additional $389,326 for the building enclosure, interior finishes, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, trade work that is needed for the new 34th District Court. These funds have been verified and available at the Court Building Construction Fund with the account listed.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for ITB 18/19-06 for the new 34th District Court project, bid package 3, the building enclosures, including finishing and the meat trades.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Mr. Wadsworth, for the ITB 18/19-06 for the new 34th District Court project, bid package number 3, building enclosures, finishes, and meat trays. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Talley.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next is item E, and this is a budget amendment, and this is a request to concur with administration and introduce budget amendment 18/19-14 to authorize the transfer of funds from the Court Building Debt Service Fund to the Court Building Construction Fund as requested by the Director, Bob McCray, for bid package 3A of the project. The attached memos are showing it. It's $400,000.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for introduction of budget amendment 18/19-14 for the Court Building Construction Fund as requested by Bob McCray.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Talley, for the introduction of budget amendment 18/19-14. In discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Talley.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. The last item is just an item of information, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
6A is the clerk's report. Before I get into the action items, City Clerk Ellen Bragg, she wanted me to pass on some information to everyone. She has received complaints from residents who have received letters from a Center for Voter Information organization, and they have sent out requests for absentee ballot applications. And most of these were sent to Romulus Towers, as far as we know so far. And the address to send the app back was to Ash Township Clerk. And Ellen did contact the clerk in Ash Township, and she knew nothing about this. So if you do receive something like this, just disregard it, and if you would like an absentee ballot application, please stop by the clerk's office or give the clerk's office a call at 942-7540. And also, Ellen wanted to let everyone know that there is a drop box in the Horseshoe Drive for ballots and absentee ballot applications to be dropped off. And there's also a drop box in the main entrance, in the door there, that you can also drop off your ballots and applications. And a reminder that the last day to register to vote, to be eligible to vote in the November election, is October 9th. Okay. So we'll go on to the action items. 6A1, for second reading, final adoption, is Budget Amendment 181910, Community Development Block Grant.
Chair, I'll make that motion for second reading, final adoption of Budget Amendment 18/19-10 for the Community Development Block Grant.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Talley, for second reading, final adoption of Budget Amendment 18/19-10, Community Development Block Grant. Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
6A2, for second reading, final adoption, is Budget Amendment 1819-11, General Fund.
Chair, I'll make that motion for second reading, final adoption of Budget Amendment 18/19-11 for the general fund.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Talley, for second reading, final adoption of Budget Amendment 18/19-11, General Fund. Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
6A3 is a request for a resolution to adopt a policy on the Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Abdo.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the resolution presented before us. I would like to read it, though, so that people know what we're voting on. Is that all right?
I'll support it.
Thanks. Whereas the state of Michigan has recently enacted Public Acts 281, 282, and 283 of 2016, collectively known as the Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act, the Act. Whereas the Act gives local units of government the discretion on whether it wishes to permit any or all of the 5 regulated medical marijuana facilities to locate within its jurisdiction. Whereas the City Council has reviewed the Act and discussed allowing any of the regulated medical marijuana facilities within the City of Romulus. And whereas the City Council has exercised its discretion to decline the opportunity to place such facilities within the city as allowed by the Act. Whereas the City Council desires to enact a policy statement to this effect. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Romulus hereby declares its decision to prohibit any of the regulated facilities allowable and designated under the Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act of 2016 within the City of Romulus.
It's been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Mr. Wadsworth, and that's for the request for a resolution to adopt a policy on the Medical Marijuana Facilities License Act. Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes, I would like to say, and I understand what Reverend Willis said and his concerns about prescription drugs. There's a lot of residents, and we as council members have to stop being pushed or forced in a corner to vote one way or the other. You have to listen to your heart. Medical marijuana is just that. It's to help issues with those that's having issues with pain. So there's been a lot of folks that said that they use it, they travel to other cities. I don't see an issue with it, to each his own. To be forced to vote one way or the other is just It's not in my makeup. I believe that everybody have a right, as the people came forth and said they wanted a right to be able to vote on the millage that's coming up. The same thing go here. You can't be one-sided when it comes to the right of the residents. So even though we may feel one way about medical marijuana, other people use it, they benefit from it, and so we can't be afraid because one thing or another. It's a lot of things that's going on in this city. We were put up here based on what's right and fair for the residents, not what somebody else want us to do, and so that's just my opinion.
Mr. Wadsworth.
If I can respond to that, in working in law enforcement for over 38 years, I see nothing positive about selling marijuana legally or illegally. To make a comment that we're backed into a corner to vote, I've never been backed into a corner to vote on anything up here. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Ms. Webb?
Yes, through the chair, if I may.
Yes, Ms. Webb.
You know, we had this conversation, and this conversation really offended me from one of my colleagues who wanted to count me off every time I would want to stand up and mention a liquor store on every corner. And then we have our pastor here, no disrespect, speaking on pain pills. We're not here for pain pills. We're not here for alcohol. This is about medical marijuana. It's not just for pain, but it's for helps different diseases. And if you do your research, you'll see that our children, St. Jude's Hospital, Mott's University, these children are being taken care of. They're being relief from pain without drugs. I don't think a lot of people understand what medical marijuana is. You're not going around here getting high. No one is going to sell it on the streets. It's not considered drug. But of course, this is my opinion. But anytime the city will allow a business to open in my back door, in order to issue a medical marijuana card, and now you want to say, oh, we want to opt out? How did that gentleman get a CFO to issue a medical marijuana card in my neighborhood? That's all I have to say. Also, we have building codes. There will be no marijuana growing in downtown Romulus. That's impossible because we have building codes. But when you just start to take everything just completely out of this city, we don't have much here. Our Walmart left, Home Depot years ago. Then, you have Menards. Then you have this business and that business. I don't smoke marijuana. I don't, and I hope I never even have to use medical marijuana. But there are millions of children, babies, who doctors are using this medical marijuana to help them. And I mean numerous diseases. And if you would just do your research on it, that's fine. If my colleagues want to opt out, I have no problem with it. But don't judge me and don't come after me when I say that I do not believe that we should opt out. And as of tomorrow, if it passes tonight, I do request from the city, a DPW or the building department, I want that office shut down next to my house because he is furnishing medical marijuana cards. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
John?
Ms. Abdo?
Under the law that is going to be may possibly pass in November, a medical marijuana facility will be able to sell recreational marijuana also. Therefore, I am against the medical marijuana facility in the city because eventually it will be turning into a recreational marijuana facility under the law that's on the books to be voted on in November.
Ms. Williams.
And I would just like to say, I agree with Councilwoman Webb, that since the city allowed a doctor to operate in the city of Romulus, close to the downtown area, to issue medical marijuana cards, that should be looked into to shut it down. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Could I just make one comment on
Attorney.
the facility that's been mentioned? There is a licensed physician in there, and he's not issuing medical marijuana cards because the state of Michigan issues those cards. But he is examining patients and writing the letter to the state of Michigan that says that they have to have, in order to get a card, you have to get a physician who will write a letter saying that you have one of the conditions that's covered by the act in order for the state to issue a license.
To the attorney, I spoke with the gentleman myself, and he said that's what he do. So if he has on the books with the city that he's doing one thing, and he's telling others that he's doing something else, that need to be checked into.
Well, we can check that, but no one in the state individually issues license, only the state does.
It wasn't licensed, it was a medical marijuana card.
A
And that's
medical
where you get 'em
marijuana
from a
card that
doctor.
was issued by some individual physician, if he was doing that, would not be a valid card that would allow you to possess any marijuana.
You know, no disrespect, but that's what the gentleman is doing. I know of people, they take the card, they go to Ann Arbor. I mean, I know this. I would not have ever brought it up had I not known that, I don't speak what I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, we'll verify that what he's telling people is what's being done, and we'll report back to you. How about that?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no other more discussion, we'll take a roll call vote. Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
No,
Ms. Webb?
No.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
No.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
That concludes the clerk's report, and 6B is the treasurer's report.
Good evening, council, mayor, deputy clerk, and audience. I just wanted to, Barb mentioned about the box, and I just wanted to go into a little bit more detail on that, because I know we only had the one box at the entrance, but because of tax bills being due today, as well as we have a heavy water deadline tomorrow, I spoke with Mr. McCrate, thank you so much. They went out and they did place a drop box. It's installed behind City Hall. So if you enter the horseshoe where it says entrance, because there's an exit and an entrance, obviously we want to enter on the entrance, and the drop box will be visible. There's a huge sign there that says drop box, and you can drop your payment right in the box from the car. You don't even have to get out of the car. So it's nice and convenient for people that don't have the ability to walk, or disabled, or just for convenience. The drop box is emptied Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. and payments are processed every day, Monday through Friday. So today, property taxes were due. The good news is that you can still pay them by dropping your payment in the drop box, as long as they are there before 8 a.m. tomorrow. That box will be emptied. If your tax bill is in there, it will be considered on time. So if you forgot or didn't get a chance to pay them today, please drop them in the drop box. The deadline is 8 a.m. tomorrow. Any questions, please give the office a call at 734-942-7580. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 7 is public comment. Individuals who would like to address city council must raise their hand, and when recognized by the chair, approach the podium and state their name and address. Remarks shall be limited to 3 minutes, subject to being extended an additional 3 minutes by consent of the chairperson. There shall be no personal attacks, and remarks shall not contain any profanity, racial, ethnic, sexual, or national origin slurs or overtones. This public meeting shall not be used to campaign for elected office and may not be used to support or oppose any candidate or ballot proposals. Anyone not adhering to these rules shall lose their right to address City Council. A response to any questions or concerns will be provided under agenda item number 8, unfinished business, only if the information is available. Otherwise, responses that require further investigation will be given at a later date. We do have one written request this evening, Miss Betty Scott.
Yes, okay.
My name is Betty Scott, and I live on Whitehorn, 11034 Whitehorn. And I came up here to talk about the problem that I heard was complained about with the kids playing basketball. Now, they were supposed to last week, I believe they were supposed to talk about it, and they tabled it. Now, this week they tabled it again. But I want to know who thought it was so bad for people to get out in the street and play ball. They've been doing it for years. My kids is almost 60 years old, and they did it. And I'm quite sure y'all did it too. The people, if you didn't play hopscotch in the street. I mean, what is wrong? If things are getting so bad, people don't even want to have people having fun anymore. Everybody can't afford to go to the rec. The rec has got to be a commercial place now. They have so many parties and stuff up there, and they're using it for different things that people can't hardly get in there anymore. You can't hardly find a parking spot anymore up there. And I think that if there is a problem with people playing basketball, I think the city should take some of that community development money and use it to maybe open up some playgrounds, or the ones you close, you open them back up, or either you put basketball places around for people to do that. But I think it's awful bad that you done got where you want to close down everything, and everything is pertaining to people and money going into the general fund and nothing coming back to the community. You know, y'all need to look into that, because people is getting sick of this place not having things, and all you do is complaining, and all these trucking companies coming in here, tearing up the streets. The next thing you know, you want us to pay for the street that y'all done brought a trucking company in to tear up. I just think it's horrible. They tabled it again today, so that's okay. I say I'll get up and talk about it, because maybe next week, who knows, if it rained too much, it might snow. I won't get a chance to come up here. But I just want y'all to know how I feel about it. And I think it's many more important things that you need to focus on. Like some of these houses that people are, y'all sell these houses to people, and they using them with a lot of cars on it. I also, since I'm up here, I can complain about that. On Moore Street, I made a complaint to the ordinance department. She was supposed to get back with me. Nobody's got back with me. That man is using that place to store a bunch of cars. Y'all give these houses to people to make them look worse. You know, the community is really going down, and it don't make sense. We trying to keep our places up, and all y'all doing is just, I guess it's all about the money going in general funds. We're trying to live and be happy if we can, and y'all just bringing people in here to run the community down. They're not gonna live here too long, because it'll probably, after they done run it down, it'll be too bad for them to live in. So y'all need to think about the people in the community and make it nice for us sometimes. Not just always something y'all can open up something for somebody to stick to. I heard them today, they wanna open up something to get $100,000 out. It don't even make sense. Everything should come through the council, not through the mayor. It's supposed to be the council first. And I think things should go to the council, and then you talk to the mayor. That's the way it's supposed to be. You know, y'all need to straighten up and fly right, you know? Don't make sense.
Any other comments from the audience? Ms. Lemon had a hand up, then you next, sir.
evening, council, mayor, deputy clerk, treasurer, everybody here and at home. You all know my passion is the veterans. Thank you for putting on the fact that there's going to be a spaghetti dinner. I am just trying to help them survive up there. We cannot lose our VFW. I asked a few weeks ago for friends of mine, and they've come forward. Stacy, thank you. Kathy, thank you. Bob McCray, thank you. Julie, thank you. Kevin Kraus, Linda Choate, Carol Bales, and Dan, they have all donated money to me that will be given to the VFW. The ladies here and the gentlemen have donated baskets that will be used to help them raise money at the spaghetti dinner. All of you on council sitting here this evening and at home, please come up and support the spaghetti dinner Friday night, October 5th from 5 to 7. It's going to be a nice night for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello, my name is David Holtz. I live on 38872 Houston. Thank you, council, mayor, everyone else. Originally, I was going to talk about the basketball issue, but first I wanted to respectfully discuss what the Reverend was talking about. No one here, we didn't have anyone actually speak on behalf of marijuana. Anyone from the Cannabis Caucus, which I'm part of. I do not do the drug myself, but I do know something of chronic pain. My mom, she deals with lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and Addison's disease. Every day, it's chronic pain. And so far, the Trump administration, the only thing they have done is just dramatically cut back on people's pain medication. They have no fallback. And you talk about withdrawal, there is no withdrawal from marijuana, but there is from these type of pills that we're talking about, pain medications like Vicodin. These people are actually going through more distress now since they've done this cutback. And this is the only solution we have that actually does not have a long-term issue to it is medical marijuana. We're talking about case studies. Just look at the states that have already legalized it. We've not had problems. We've actually removed some of the crime, especially because of the fact that you're taking off the streets, you're regulating it, and you're removing it from the power of the cartels. This is actually a positive thing for us, and I wish we would have more public comment before we even had that vote, because this is something that we should address as a society, as a community. But when it comes down to it, I do not see a fallback from having recreational marijuana. We already provide cigarettes, alcohol, things are much worse for you than that. I don't know why we would suddenly draw the line here. On the issue of basketball in the streets, I don't know why this is even an issue. This is a sport that was basically invented on the streets. The only thing this is going to do is criminalize our kids. We don't want them out there, sitting at home playing video games. We want them outside playing sports, right? Why are we going to take that away? I don't see any benefit to doing this, to making this an illegal act for kids to, play basketball. That also takes away from resources from our police. We talk about more police runs right now that are causing, the increase in our cost for our police. This is going to increase that. Calling them on kids. There's no reason for that. So I don't see any reason why we should be taking away from our police time and resources from real crimes to go after kids playing basketball in the streets. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? You want to come first? Okay.
Hi, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Sarah Flores. I live at 36711 Ecorse. I wasn't prepared to come here tonight. I would have dressed a little nicer and not wear my flip-flops, but I just wanted to address the speed limit by my house again. I was here 2 years ago. I spoke with the mayor, I spoke with some of the council people, and you guys were very, prompt in getting back with me, emailing me and saying that you would try to fix the issue. And I have noticed within the 2 years that there have been more cops up and down the street kind of, monitoring, because when I was here last time,
I had expressed that I could hear people, first of all, sorry, it's 50 down my road on E-course. I've never ever let my kids go in the front yard because I'm like terrified of how fast these people go. And you know, I don't know like what it would take to change the speed limit. I don't know if I'd have to, you know, do more stuff and go through other people, but it's one of my main concerns. And I know not everybody really cares, but is the wildlife over there. I see raccoons, baby ducks. There's so many families because right on the long side of my house, there's a ton of marshes, and you know, there's little animal families all over the place, and they're always trying to get across the street to the pond. And I know it's an issue everywhere. I can't change the world, but you know, I see animals getting hit like every day from Merriman up until Haggerty because people just fly down there. It's ridiculous. I was sitting outside. That was the reason why I came here 2 years ago, was because I witnessed a family of geese get ran over. It was really bad. But just today around 3 o'clock, someone was slamming their horn outside, and the cars were piling up all the way outside. And my husband and I, we were kind of watching these little babies in the backyard. I was like, oh, that's it. They were trying to cross, and someone wasn't paying attention. And sure, you know, people were almost slamming into each other. I looked out the window. It was like a huge pile up because, you know, the ducks were trying to, I don't know if, like I said, I've always thought 50 was too fast because even at night, I see people walking down the street in their uniforms, like walking back and forth to work. And I'm fortunate enough, we have vehicles, but obviously some people don't. And it's so scary. Like, not a lot of them wear reflectors. Some of them wear all black. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't go 50, and I try to pay attention because I know about the wildlife, but I even almost hit this guy because I couldn't see him, and there's no sidewalks, like, whatsoever. So, you know, I know there's other concerns too, but I just saw another little family get ran over today, and I was crying, and, you know, I guess, like, if the city and, you know, if I get a petition going or something, I don't know what to do, but like I said, I don't even let my kids outside because it's so crazy, and people they don't even go 50, they go like 70. And I just want to make one more comment too. My brother-in-law just lives on E-course also, so there's not like an extra turning lane, so every time that we go to his house, you know, we have to stop and wait for the cars to, you know, pass by. And since the speed limit is 50 and people are just flying, there's so many people that have almost like hit me with my kids in the car because they're just, you know, not even paying attention at the people who are trying to turn into the residential houses. So, like I said, I know you guys have a lot going on, but I just wanted to voice my opinion about that because it's just, I'm not the only one that thinks that, but I know other people, I'm trying to get them to come out here and speak too, but it's a really big issue. But like I said, thank you for having more cops. I have noticed that people are, I mean, I don't ever want to hate me for wanting the cops there and then, you know, going after me, but people are getting pulled over more in that area, but there's no like geese crossing or slow down for wildlife or anything like that. It's really sad. Like we were trying to keep these little duckies alive today, but a couple of them got hit. That's why there was the pile up and people were almost slamming into each other because there was somebody that got out, was trying to direct them across the road. So that puts humans in danger too, you know, if anything, if no one, you know, cares less about the animals. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Reverend Talley?
Good evening, council, mayor, audience, everybody. I'm here concerned, and I'm Reverend Rita Talley. I live at 32154 Bruce Street here in Romulus. Been a long time resident, much involved in the community, especially in the schools. Been a long time lunch mom because I love the children. And that's who I'm speaking for here. What about the children? I hear all the rhetoric and all that, but we have had an incident at our school when there was a high school and there was a friend of mine. See, I get the parents. See, An enemy can wiggle and deceive and lie in a minute and wiggle stuff in your community. And I'm asking everybody to stand their ground and be different, be peculiar. Amen, because we need somebody to stand. Because this is a lot that's coming in here. And then, like everything else, they said they can contain it. They said that about alcohol. But they didn't tell you the aftermath and the side effects of that. How many families was destroyed, marriages, children, the whole community. You know, this thing is trying to tear us apart. And we need to stand our ground and remember, because we had a case, and they come to me, and some of you, they say, do your research. Well, some of my research come from the parents. And her grandson almost went to jail by the grace of God, because he was up there in the high school selling cookies and different stuff with laced marijuana, and people really got sick. By the grace of God, didn't some of them die? Now, the thing about contain, I know everybody's intention is good, but see, and I'm a minister, and I talk from where I get a lot of my information. And one thing about mankind, he can't help himself if he don't have the Lord deep in his heart, because he is going to, everything he put his hands on, just like in the beginning of time, it was good. Everything God made was good. The earth, the vegetation, all that. But it's when we got our hands on it, sinful man, then that's when we saw everything. We didn't even have to pull grass. They tilled the ground. Everything was a paradise. That's what it was. But since sin, and I'm calling what it is, sin, came in, it brought all this hell, destruction, illness, sickness, and disease that we have to deal with now. But thank God, by his grace and mercy, he has comforted us like he always do. He always clean up our mess, just like our children. We clean up their mess. But I'm saying, take another thought, because they have, I've been talking to different people. I don't know, maybe somebody researched it. In certain places, you think some of these facilities are bakeries. They got cupcakes, everything that would attract a child. And that's what really bothered me. The other, I'm not for either, because there's a way for that too. It's a way to escape out of that too. But what bothered me when they said recreational. So what age is that? When you say recreational, who has access? I'm thinking of young adults, teenagers, children, young adults. What is it? What's the age when you say that? Nobody knows?
The proposed act says age 21.
21.
To be able to buy marijuana recreationally. The act that's going to be on the ballot in November.
And they'll be able to vote and all that. Well, this is a deception coming into this community, and we better pay attention to it. Because it has ripped some people to pieces, their homes, their families, and we wouldn't have a community, we wouldn't have a church, we wouldn't have a school, we wouldn't have nothing if we don't have a community, a families, children. Now, we got to get back with this and help our children. And there's more going on, and I think some of you might know it, I don't know. But when you're down there with them children, you find out a whole lot of stuff. Sometimes children come in with wads, biggest island, got more. Where did you get that money? And they say, they proud. We better rethink this. I tell you, stand your ground, because we are a special city, been chosen, as far as I'm concerned, to be a light to all the other communities that aren't quite shining as bright as we are. But don't let us boast either, because an enemy can come in, plant seeds everywhere. And then even in the Bible it says, where did these seeds come from? It was a parable. And they said, an enemy came overnight and planted them.
3 minutes.
So I just say, stand your ground. And I know you can. I'm not unsympathetic about, the health and all that. But there is a way without bringing this and letting our children get access. Because you know, when a thief come in, I don't care, a thief is a thief, and he know how to get in your house. I don't care how many whatever you have in your home, he coming in if he wants to get in. So don't think we are that. They smart. And it's already in certain things. I mean, for our access to our children. And then it's tearing up our homes, causing division even among ourselves, because we split on it. Okay, I just say, think about it. That's all I say. Pray about it. But one thing I know, this is a praying community, and they do allow the presence of God here. Let's keep his presence, because he's not in the presence with no mess. And we know that, right? Amen. So think about it, because I'm praying about it, because I've seen too much destruction. Because I'm a minister, you know I talk to a lot of families hurting, going through all kinds of pain and suffering, and that's what it will bring. So God bless you. You know I love you all, but we got to really think about this, because I tell you right now, it's the enemy. Let's pay attention and listen and follow the voice of God. Amen. He's calling.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? No more comments from the audience? Comments closed.
8 is unfinished business, and 8A, we have a motion to take from the table a request for approval of restated conditional rezoning agreement, RZ-2016-001, M&M Express Trucking at 27732 Ecorse Road. We would need a motion to take it from the table.
Through the chair.
Okay.
I'll make that motion to remove it from the table.
I'll support it.
It's been motioned by Ms. Webb, supported by Mr. Wadsworth, to remove it from the table. Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
The 8B is the request for approval of restated conditional rezoning agreement, RZ-2016-001, M&M Express Trucking at 27732 Ecorse Road.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to reject the approval.
I'll support that with a discussion.
It's been motioned by Ms. Williams, supported by Mr. Wadsworth. And this is not to reinstate it?
Yes.
Discussion. Mr. Wadsworth?
If I can, last week I went out there and I talked to some of the people that live on the Newcastle. I went in their backyards, and it's bad. I mean, I looked at the fence that these people have to look at every day of the week. There's Burger King cups, there's food containers, there's other things that I'm not going to mention here. The property is 2 or 3 feet above it. You can look in the backyard, see where it's been flooded, and for us to give him approval, telling us that he's going to do certain things I'm not in favor of, I think it should be denied. And if he wants to come back and do all these things, they're totally completed by 100%, I could possibly look at it different. But at this point, I'm not in favor of doing it. They've got lights up in the air. These folks that live on Newcastle, especially on the north side, they have to, their backyards look like baseball parks in the night. And, I don't think, I realize that these companies are there in business, but they have to, they have to consider the people that live next to them. And I just don't see it there. I don't see it at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wadsworth.
John?
Any other discussion? Ms. Abdo?
I was wondering if any improvements have been made since he appeared to us before. If he could tell us if he's done any improvements. I'm looking at the citizens' complaints. Have any of these been addressed?
Mohammed Hussein on behalf of M&M. Yes, the property was built in 1985 and it was total trash by everyone approved that and seen it. When we got there, we cleaned it so very much and now it looks a lot better. And that project, it has a certain steps to help the neighbors also, like 50 feet setback from the neighbors, a berm, a 10 feet high to reduce the noise and everything to the neighbors. Underground detention will pull and suck all the water from the area. That is to help the neighbors with that project. That project is a rezoning. It's been zoned M1 and it's gonna rezone heavy duty to do those things to help the neighbors. As far as that, I mean, cleaning has been very much done and they've been known it by the building department, by the planning department, by the safety department, everybody been known there and been inspecting, and we have done so much to it since we got there back in 2016.
But Mr. Barden, the problem that I have is when these things are all done and complete 100%, then come back. But you're talking about doing things. You know, I don't see a berm behind these people's backyard. All I see is the concrete. When I look through
That's
the
the
fence.
rezoning. When we do the rezoning, we're gonna do the 50 feet setback and a berm. If we get this project approved and start doing the work, we cannot do the work without getting a permit from the building department. And that is what this is for.
I'm sure the building department would work with you, sir, to get the permits and get the work done.
I can't do it without reinstating my rezoning agreement.
John?
Go ahead. I'm done, sir.
Mr. Mayor, is it possible that, Mr. McGray can come put a little light on it?
Yeah, if there are any other questions, you want me to bring them up now, or? I know
Do you
Kathy,
want to
you-
do a question
I
first?
had questions about the vats, empty vats that were back there, or are they still there? And I don't know if they're empty or what was in them. Has any of that been cleaned up?
All right. If you would like Bob to speak on behalf of us, he was
yeah.
out there.
Do you have any other questions for this gentleman? You want Bob to
No,
address
I
it?
guess
or-
Bob can answer that. I should have waited.
Okay. Mr. McCray, can you address some of their questions?
Yeah, hopefully I can shed some light on it. After the last council meeting, I did go walk the site with Mohammed that day, address some immediate concerns we have at the adjacent site with the unkept premises, dilapidated vehicles, piles of debris and construction debris and overburden were still there. Follow-up inspections have showed they've made some progress there, but the dilemma you have here, though, is he can't work to abate the drainage issue or the lighting issue without a permit, and I can't issue a permit if city council doesn't approve him to move forward. I don't know if it would help move this process through as to if you gave it an approval with a deadline, and if he meets certain dates, we can issue citations. Steve, you might wanna weigh in on that, but I'm just trying to find a solve here. But we can't authorize any permits for the repairs that would abate some of these issues until we have council approval.
Just one comment, but I mean, to take the lights and to turn them away from the people, he needs a permit for that?
No, that could be addressed,
Clean up
that
the
could be
junk
addressed immediately.
that's up and down the fence?
Yeah, that could be addressed immediately. And as far as the drums, I did walk the site. I didn't witness any drums. I didn't see them over there. Okay, are they still on the site? Okay.
I think what we would like is to see that property cleaned up. I realized from what I've been reading that as soon as you get the permit, that the drainage issue will be solved, that will be a solve for them. But I think in good faith, we need to have that place cleaned up first. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I agree that you know, your hands are tied and that your drainage issue will be addressed as soon as he gets a permit, that he can go ahead. But considering there's so many other things which have been left undone, I'd like to see those done first before we do it. That's all right.
As far as the light was never brought to our attention, this is the first time
You have to come up and talk, sir. We can't hear you back there.
As far as the light issue, as the council member just mentioned now, it was just brought to our attention now. It was never mentioned before to anybody. We could adjust them, it's a night light to people to see, to drive. And we could adjust them not to, bother or hurt or hurt anybody, neighbors, anybody else. But it was put up just like any business put lights for their people, drivers, to come in and out without, hurting anybody and hit anybody else.
Ms. Webb, yes.
I just want to know, what have you been doing since June the 22nd, 2017? It says here that our attorney notified you that you were in default of the conditional rezoning agreement. Now, that has been over a year. If you knew that you were in default, what took you so long to try to get back to do what the former council and the city wanted you to do? You know, I don't have a problem with our business people here, but what I have is when people move into the city, but they don't consider the residents in our city. So I feel, if it's okay with my colleagues, I'd like to make a motion to grant this gentleman what is required, but within 30 days,
Motion on the floor right
that there should be some type of improvement.
There's a motion on the floor right now,
What's the motion on the floor?
not to reinstate it.
Not to reinstate him, okay, well,
Ma'am,
run the motion.
if you would allow me a moment, I could comment on your concern. We were held up by the Wayne County. Everything was held up. This agreement was granted and approved in 2016, and we applied for permits from Wayne County, and we've been held from them until August of this year. That's what was held up, not us, not the city of Romulus. But there are certain things we cannot move in and do without the approval of Wayne County. And I got the blueprint and the approval with the permits to show the date they granted us that permit.
Okay, and through the chair one more
Yes,
time. Mr. McCray, would you step up to the microphone, please? May I ask, what is your opinion of this situation?
I don't disagree that this has been taking way too long, but he can't move forward with abating a situation without a permit, so it's kind of at that point where we're at a precipice where we need to either decide to move forward, or like you said, concur with the recommend to denial.
Okay.
But even then, we're gonna have an issue with that site, cause when he purchased the site, there was a lot of different issues over there, and he's demolished the structure, taking care of some other things in order to abate some of those blighted issues. We're still not there yet, and I do agree it's been taking quite a long time, so, I don't disagree with if council decided to approve something, they have a timeline with heavy restrictions after that timeline if it's not met.
And through the chair, would the maker of the motion,
What I would,
Just a minute, Ms. Williams,
what I would like to say, we haven't heard one time from the residents. Is it okay that we hear from the residents of the issues that they're actually dealing with?
Real quick, Mr.
yeah, just a minute.
To address what he said that the county was holding it up, and in the notes I'm looking at, it said the city has spoken with Wayne County on numerous occasions, and the city's engineer assured the city that it's all under the applicant's control. Applications have been submitted incomplete, money hasn't been paid, and the C permit is awaiting a signature on the liability insurance before release. 2 separate Wayne County offices have told the city that it is in control of the applicant.
He does currently have those, 2 Wayne County permits.
Okay, so I'm just saying, don't blame it on the county, because she asked you since June of 2017 what's been going on, and you said it was the county's fault, but it was your fault.
No, it's not my fault, ma'am.
Okay,
I was
so
held
the
by
residents
county
somebody telling a lie.
From that time, I'm not saying you're telling a lie. From that time until August of 2018, until I grant those permits from Wayne County. That was also, I could not move forward without these permits. Everyone in the city and the building department knows that.
John?
Okay, Mr. Abdul?
I think that without a permit, you can move forward in cleaning up the property, though.
Yes.
And I would like to see the property cleaned up before I grant the permit.
Right.
I have been cleaning, and it's been cleaning. You guys are looking at a different property now. When Bob told me last month, actually, you guys are confused between the old one that we doing the rezoning for and trying to get the reinstation, and the other one we just bought and we demolished, and there are some stuff taking time. You guys are confused between the 2 properties. You're looking at the one we're working on right now and seeing some piles of demolishing, which is that 27880 and 27800, and the one we're doing over here is 27732. It's totally two different addresses, and you guys are looking at two different properties.
Last comment, I would like to hear from the residents.
Well, Ms. Webb, you have anything to say before?
No, I'm just ready to run the vote.
Mr. Wadsworth?
You know, we can deny this tonight and let him clean up what he can do without permits, and when Mr. McCray tells us it's been done, we can rescind what we did tonight, and we can bring it back up again. But I'm not changing the way that I feel about it.
Any other discussion? No other discussion?
Well, through the chair, if you may, this is not clear to me. I was going to ask the maker of the motion to rescind it, and that's why I asked Mr. McCray his opinion and the timeline, because we don't want to give this gentleman another 2 years, no type of agreement. As my colleague stated, you're gonna have to clean it up before we can give you any type of extension. So, Bob, again, I will ask, what is your recommendation if the maker of the motion rescinds?
No, I'm not.
Well, you also have time before the next council meeting, that you could have some more site cleanup take place at that site. The problem you have if you run too far, waiting for him to make a move before you approve or deny it, is you run into the end of the construction season. You'll have, sooner you won't have, materials available and things of that nature will become a hindrance on the site too. So the time window to address this is pretty much now.
You know, my opinion is we can deny this tonight, and within the next week, he can contact you, and if you feel it's been cleaned up, it's acceptable, then we can rescind what we did tonight and put it back on the table.
Is that okay with you, Bob?
Yeah, I can meet with the owner of property on site, and have a report written up for council by the next council meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
I'd also like to see
could I
it
just
before
ask
we
that
have-
council give us that feedback of what items you want, so we can be all consistent, so Bob will make sure that's done before it comes back?
Okay.
Because cleanup is kind of vague, just so we know what he's holding them to, what standard.
Yes, can we? Mr. Abdo?
Don't have to do it
This is
tonight,
when-
just,
This is when I'd like to
Anybody
hear
can look
from-
at an area and see it needs to be cleaned up or doesn't need to be cleaned up.
Well, this is when I'd like to hear from the residents. The flooding cannot be addressed till he gets the permit. It will be addressed when he does get the permit. What more do you want done now? That's what I need to know. Can they speak? Yes?
Yeah, I'm allowed, come up and then,
My name is Kimberly
can you,
Conklin.
down a little bit, it's dying.
I live directly in back of this property. My husband put up a green screen light along the fence because of what we look out and see out of our utility room, out of our kitchen window. You move the screen, the yard is above ours. It's just gotten higher and higher. We get a big rain, my yard floods. It'll flood into my garage. If you open my garage door, you're gonna see nothing but plastic totes. Now that's what we've had to put our stuff in order to save when we get a good rain, because we have lost stuff due to the flooding. My problem is not with this man personally. My problem is this. You take the green screen, you pull it back, there are numerous empty food containers, among other things. There's garbage. There is an empty tote. I have a picture on my phone from a week ago, an empty vat. There used to be numerous full vats, which my neighbor has a video on his phone he took. It's a mess. As far as the light is concerned, wait a minute, I don't get this. This was brought up over 2 years ago. There wasn't just a problem with an overhead light, Mohammed. There was a problem with the trucks coming in, parking, and their lights going right through my home. My home. You stopped doing that, and I appreciate that, but we still have the light. We still have a vat. I don't know if there had been anything in that vat before. Look, I'm not happy about that stuff being in back of my home. Not at all. It's not cleaned up. That is a lie. It is not cleaned up. And the councilman that came out and saw it, I think he was probably surprised when he saw it. I have no issue with you being there, no issue with the business being there. The problem is not at 27780, where you've been working, the other property you bought. The problem is at 27732 E-course, directly in back of my home, which I will have paid off next month, only to get to look out there at that. Things I've wanted to do with my home, I've had to put off to replace things I've lost in my garage, not making an insurance claim so that my insurance doesn't go up. It's not a personal thing, it's my home. And I take pride in my home and in my community. I'm happy, I would be happy to have that there. I just don't want the problem that comes with it. And you said the flooding is not your problem. Wait a minute. I thought that if a business backs up to a home, a personal property, there has to be a wall. How come there's a wall further down at the truck stop, but there's nothing down at my end? Why is it higher up in back of my house, but it's a little bit lower at Mr. Rudman's? My next door neighbor, to the left of me, I'm standing in my backyard, doesn't even keep his backyard up anymore because he's partially disabled and cannot when it rains. He's just like giving up on the property. So I don't have an issue. My husband and I don't have an issue if it gets cleaned up. It's all we want, clean it up. Get that berm. Stop my backyard from flooding. My neighbors, we talk to people on Birchdale, the street and back. They won't come. One neighbor said the same thing we've said. Well, we've given up even putting in a garden. How can you garden when you flood? But they figure they won't get anywhere, so they don't come. That's how I feel.
Ms. Ross, go ahead, comment. Ms. Ross, go ahead.
I have one last question for Bob,
Bob?
please, to clarify. Because it seems like besides the cleanup that needs to be done, one of the major issues is the flooding.
Yes.
That's a major issue, is the flooding. The cleanup can get done. But my question I want clarified is, without the conditional rezoning, he cannot get started on doing what he needs to do to eliminate the flooding. Am
There's
I correct?
continued
Is that
site
the-
improvements that can go on there, but the screening issue, the site improvement, those major improvements on that site can't be done without a permit.
Well, and I just want you to clarify, does that have to do with the flooding? What he needs to do to eliminate the flooding, does that have to do with the
Yeah, he could do some
conditional
grading, he could do some grading work over there, remove some of the spoils and products still. He could do some of that. It won't be the final fix with the engineers approved until, we issue permits and he does that work that's been applied for.
What's the final fix for the flooding?
Develop the site. Develop the site, screen it, take care of some of the issues that they're having.
John, I have a question.
Ms. Abdo?
Is he required by law to take care of the flooding if we grant this?
Yeah, you can't, it's even in the zoning ordinance, you can't raise your grade to be a nuisance or an attractive nuisance on a neighboring property. So
Okay.
if we can show that he's got the drainage issue there and he's shedding water on another property, because over the years, the grades have changed and they brought in more millings and product, then yes, there's an issue.
So he has
Some
to-
of that can be addressed right now with that before we issue permit too, so you can do, there's additional room to do some site improvements over there.
What about the wall she talked about? Is that required when a business backs up to a?
Screening, the screening is required, it can be achieved a couple different ways, a berm that's been talked about, berms and plantings, sometimes a wall. I'm not familiar with exactly what was on this approved site, but I'm sure the screening was addressed from residential property.
Ms. Webb?
So, the gentleman, he has time now, since the residents, I'm sorry, since the residents did say flooding is the number one issue, and then the wall. Okay, how long would it take the gentleman to, we're trying to think of a word, alleviate the flooding or elevate the property there, or what could you do to eliminate the flooding before November the 15th? I believe that's the frost laws.
I believe you have the construction equipment on site. He could get started as soon as possible as far as removing some of the millings and the spoils that's created the elevation issue.
And how long would that take you, sir?
First of all, want to make clear of something that I bought the property like this is 3 feet higher than their house. We do care about our neighbors and we want them to live comfortably with us. And we as neighbors, we always, we came to them when we first came and asked them if they remember, if we could do something to help them. As far as driving, trucks getting in and out, when we do that 50 feet setback.
Excuse me,
I'm
sir.
getting to that
The
now.
question that I'm asking is, how long will it take you to alleviate the water problem that the residents are having? That's the number one issue.
That is scheduled to be for a 3 months project, ma'am. It's have to be digging and building an underground tank and concrete. And that mud we're digging from there, we're gonna put it as a perm along the whole neighbors to eliminate the noise, lights, and everything else.
Okay, and I understand that. Thank you.
Just one more comment. I think that what you were getting at, Councilwoman Webb, was, I mean, immediately you could remove some of the spoils that are right up on that property line. You have the 3-foot elevation. He has equipment on site. He could move to get some, to alleviate that issue immediately to help, you know, with a short-term fix for the residents over there.
Thank you, Bob. That was the question that I was asking, because they need this taken care of, and I just wanted to know how long would it take, and then you can work with the city with your agreement and go on about your work, because you can't do anything anyway. Winter's coming, but if you can alleviate their flooding, because it's going to snow and then it's going to thaw and then there's more flooding. So if you can just help the residents out by removing or do what you do, since you have your equipment on site, to get, you know, just to help them with the flooding situation.
We're gonna start with that right away, once we get the permit issued from the building department in the city. But like I said, the whole project, like the underground detention, the whole thing will take 3 months as scheduled on their.
And I understand that, but you've answered my question. Thank you.
So it won't be done if it takes 3 months.
Yes.
I don't know.
Good evening, my name is Mr. Redmond. I live directly behind their property. I'm a couple doors down from them. I've been there since 1955, and I know everything that's happened back there in that property. And with the flooding, him digging a ditch and stuff isn't really gonna solve all the problems. That street floods completely underwater every time it rains hard. It's from a lot of other issues down the road. My concern, one of my concerns is, if he rezones that property, exactly what does that mean he's gonna be able to do back there that he doesn't already do? I don't understand why he's rezoning. What is that gonna do for him?
To the chair, is that a question for our planner?
Yeah.
The planner?
Mr. Mayor, can someone address that?
I said the planner.
I can address that if you want.
Okay, thank you.
He wants to have it, and does have a trucking business there, and the trucking business is not permitted under the current zoning. So unless he gets the conditional rezoning agreement approved by you, he cannot operate a trucking business on that site, and we'd have to take action against him to prevent him from doing so. So that's why he needs the rezoning. And he's got trucks that come and go and are parked there, so he would need that rezoning in order to continue that business. He bought that apparently with the intention of operating that business without knowing what the zoning would be required for that site, so he didn't have proper zoning at the time he bought it.
So if he rezones his property to industrial transportation, is what MT stands for, from light industrial. If it's light industrial, they've always worked on trucks and stuff back there.
Well, there's a difference between
So that means.
working on your own trucks that are related to some business you have,
Okay.
and being in the trucking business where you're hauling stuff for other people. So that's the distinction. So there are a number of things that would otherwise be in an MT zoning permitted that are prohibited by this agreement, so that he cannot expand this property to all the MT uses, but he's limited to the few that are provided for in the agreement.
So, this means he'll be able to work on trucks around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
There were hours in there too.
Okay, where? What hours, what times? What can I do if he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing back there? Who do I call? Who do I complain to?
You'd have to report that to the city if he was,
Cops, say, hey, look, they're back there changing truck tires 4 o'clock in the morning. Brr, 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 for hours. They've done it. They've been doing it. Not every night. So, you know, here, this man's had this place. He hasn't done anything he's supposed to do. Now he's in here wanting you people to okay this for him. He has no respect for the city of Romulus' building ordinances. He does things without permits. Come on. If I don't cut my grass, you'll send
Yes.
city ordinance out. $500 to run a bush hog around my yard in 5 minutes. This guy does whatever he wants. 7 days a week. And nobody says nothing. This is my backyard we're talking about. Not yours, not yours, not yours. Not even yours. My backyard. I've lived there all my life. I'm back there. There's big, huge things full of, I don't know, drain oil, antifreeze, stacked up, weeds growing over. This is my backyard.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Like I say, I'm willing tonight to deny this and give this gentleman a week or so to clean up. You know, and you're gonna have to educate the employees that work there, that when they get done eating or drinking their Burger King cup, but they don't, you know, throw it on the ground and let it lay. I mean, this involves a little work within the company too, that the employees have to be told to respect these people that live there. So I'm ready to vote now, and if he goes there and cleans up and Mr. McCray is satisfied, that we can rescind this in a week and give him a second chance. That's how I feel about it.
Any other discussion? Okay. Run the vote. The motion was made by Ms. Williams. It was supported by Mr. Wadsworth, and just to not reinstate the conditional rezoning.
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Number 9 is new business.
If I,
Yes,
Mr.
Mr.
Martin, if
Mr.
I could,
Wadsworth.
to Mayor Burkhoff, Mayor, Fire Station 2 within the near future is gonna be reopened, we hope, and they don't have a flagpole. And,
Working on it.
I talked to the school, Merriman School. or
Yep, they're gonna try to help us out with that, so,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
10, communication.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Ms.
I just want to, Pastor Bob Harper was here last week and he told us about his 80th church anniversary at Ball Road Church. I was able to actually attend yesterday. I actually spent the day at the church. Found out a lot of history about the church. 80 years of ministry. I thought it was phenomenal. And they had people come there that had been back when it first opened, I think in the 1930s or so, but, I mean, not been there, who had been there for a long time. And it was just a great history, a church that had been there 80 years. And I'm just, I just want to say congratulations to Ballroom Church for 80 years of ministry. I pray for a continued 80 more years, and all that they've been through them 80 years, they're still standing. So congratulations, and it was a great event, and they fed me well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 11 is adjournment.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Roscoe for adjournment. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.